tiene loco en la cabeza cuando me tocas. Siento que todo está bien, pero en verdad yo no sé si tú lo sientes también. Entonces quiero saber por qué desde que te vi yo vivo diferente. No me importa a mí lo que dice la gente, porque tú siempre la prendes candela. Te quiero a mi lado toda la vida, mi nena. La mano pegada y los pies en la arena. Pase lo que pase, baby, vale la pena. Ay, baby, yo te quiero. Es mentira todo lo que te dijeron. Sabes que mi amor por ti es verdadero. Yo te soy fiel, nena, yo te soy sincero. Juro que yo hago de todo pa' ti. Como rábame todo de ti. Y yo te doy todo de mí.
Saludos, mi gente. It is miércoles. That means that it is time for the Los Lobos de Lucha CMLL review. And this is a special one because this is the end of the year review special. So, yeah, but sad that the year's over, but happy that we have a lot to look forward to. And not only am I looking forward to this, not alone, because I have Papa also with me. Papa also, say hi.
Hi.
And unfortunately, Mikey El Jefe, he couldn't make it tonight. So he has left the ship to us and the chaos that we will be introducing. So we got a lot to cover tonight. We had a very packed Viernes Espectacular that we saw on the 13th of December, where AEW and ROH came down to visit the Arena Mexico, and then after that we're going to give a little recap of sorts of 2024 for us and CMLL. So let's go ahead and start this right off. The dramatic entrance that CMLL gave us this past weekend.
I love it. Now, is this something that this is just like a one-off type of thing, right? This is not like a change, is it?
No, it's a one-off thing.
Oh, yeah, I really like it though.
It was special.
I really like it.
Yeah, it was okay. It was okay.
I really liked it.
But we're gonna get to it. So on the December 13th episode of Viernes Espectacular from Arena Mexico, we saw AEW and ROH coming down to visit and do some wrestling down in the Arena Mexico. But we had some business that we had to take care of first, and that was the who from CMLL from the Amazonas division was going to be representing CMLL at the Wrestle Dynasty first ever International Women's Cup. And that is the match that we started with, this match that we've just been really excited for. And that was the Cuadrangular de Amazonas para defender a la representante de CMLL to the to Wrestle Dynasty. And we saw Zuxis, facing off against Reina Isis, Persephone, and Sanelli. So not to bury the pin, but our girl Persephone comes out with the win after she snap suplexes and pins Reina Isis. So Persephone will be your CMLL representative to the Wrestle Dynasty first ever Women's International Cup tournament. Very excited. Papa, also, what did you think? How did you think this went down? Did the right woman win? And why should it always be Persephone?
It's funny that you say, did the right woman win? Of course. Yeah, of course she did. Of course. Although I will say, I do love all four of these women, and I think all four of them are, and I love the fact that all four of these women were fighting. Because literally, all four of them are fantastic. However, Persephone is my girl, and I will always back her no matter what. So she was absolutely the winner from the beginning. Before it even started, I was like, oh, "Girls got it." And I was very interested. The fact that the last two in the ring were her and Reina Isis. I thought it was going to be her and Zeuxis, to be honest.
Yes.
I really did. And then when that didn't happen, I was like, ooh. So this is probably the second time I've watched Reina Isis wrestle, and I really like her. Like, I really like her. So I've only seen her one other time before, and it was brief. So I was very impressed when I was watching her. I was like, okay, I don't know, because I know the other three pretty well. I didn't know her, so I watched her through most of this match, just so I could kind of get familiar with her. And I really, really like her. And she's another one of those women that walk into a ring and you just sort of go, "Oh, don't hurt me," or maybe hurt me a little bit.
Right.
So I was just very much like, wow, she's good. She's really good. I mean, she's no Persephone, of course, but she's good.
Right.
So I loved this match, and I loved that we opened it with the Amazonas. I love it, and I think they should do this more often. They should open it with the ladies. Now, and I'll comment later, because I have a couple of comments about some of the matches later about the feel and the style of it. But I love this. Man, all four of these women were on it. And again, like I was very surprised that it came down to Persephone and Reina Isis at the end. But I enjoyed it, though. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah. I'm some surprises. I was surprised that Zeuxis got out as early as she did. Which, all in all, this match was a good, like, dare I say, over 20 minutes. I know it ran 20 minutes. I feel it went just over 20 minutes, and they wrestled all the way through. So when I say early to get taken out, I don't mean like she was tossed out in the first minute or so. Like, she was in there for a bit, but I was surprised that she was one of the first ones to be eliminated.
Yeah.
Reina Isis is she has really good mat sense. She's a really good mat tactician. Believe it or not, she's been around for a while. She was a really good matchup, I felt, for Persephone, because they both had power, and they both had smarts. But Persephone ended up with the win. He's going to be representing CMLL, and I can't think of anyone in the Amazonas division that internationally would represent CMLL better than Persephone.
I agree.
So, she's just, her entrance alone, she's going to walk in to the Tokyo Dome and just be like, "I am that bitch."
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, she is.
What I mean? So, which is one of the things I love about her. So, but the Amazonas action did not stop there, because our second match tonight was Las Chicas Indonables, Lluvia en la Jorochita versus from ROH, Red Velvet, your RH women's TV champ, and Viva Van, who we have been seeing a lot of down in CMLL. Both Red Velvet and Viva Van did participate in the international tournament this past October in Arena Mexico. So they are now, they're not new to Arena Mexico. But this was a Relevo Internacional Amazonas, one pinfall, which was a very interesting thing throughout the night. We didn't see a lot of Relevo Australianos to best 2 out of 3 or anything like that. Almost, yeah, all the matches were all one pinfall. So it was very interesting.
Yeah, I found that odd too.
Yeah. But we did get, if I can read my notes, Las Chicas Indonables, they do end up with a win, Lluvia and Jarochita. I do hope La Jarochita sticks around for a little bit, because Lluvia has kind of been like going through the Rolodex of tag team partners. Because first she was with Stephanie Vacker. Stephanie Vacker went to WWE. Yep. Then she was with Tessa Blanchard, got the belts. Tessa Blanchard went to TNA. Yep. So poor Lluvia is now and yet again beltless. Through no fault of her own. No. So that's kind of a bummer. I'm excited to see when they post up the tournament for the vacant women's tag team belt again. Yeah. But let's talk about this match. Another really good match. Red Velvet and Viva Van, very agile, not afraid to fly. That's one of the things that I always worry about when we do have the North American wrestlers going down to Arena Mexico. Is that there are no squash matches. There are no squash matches. There are no short matches. These matches go, so, and the women tend to hit harder, as we've said time and time again. And this match was no different, but Red Velvet and Viva Van worked, beautifully. At the end, we had Red Velvet giving a spot in Spanish. She is Dominican, I believe, part Dominican. So I believe Spanish might be her first language, but she was able to give a spot, and also Viva Van gave a spot in Spanish. And it sounds like that when they announced the women's title tournament, that Red Velvet and Viva Van are coming down to participate in it. So that's going to be very interesting. Baba, what'd you think?
Yeah, I love this one too. Now this is where I have my comment about the style. And when we saw our first Amazonas, I was like, oh my goodness. And this one, I was like, oh my goodness. But this one had a different feel to it. Like this match felt to me more like American style.
Yes.
Like in the energy of it. It gave off sort of like Western, sort of American wrestling vibes to me. I didn't feel like it didn't have that sort of, when one of the things I love about the Amazonas when they wrestle is that they're a lot rougher than the men are.
Yep.
And I felt this one was a little less than. Not that they weren't good. They were good because I was loving it. But I felt like this match we would have seen this on like ROH or AEW or whatever. Yep. And I don't know if that's because no offense to any of the ROH AEW ladies or is that they can't handle it maybe. I don't know, but it felt a little pulled back for me. And we'll see it later on too. We'll see it later on in the men's matches too.
Yes.
I mean, it just feels a little less Arena Mexico and a little more like American wrestling ring. Even though they were high flying and they were doing the things, it just didn't feel as sort of edge of your seatish.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, they were I mean, they were good matches, but they weren't, dare I say, what we were used to seeing coming out of Viernes Espectacular.
Yeah. And I didn't dislike the match. I love the match because I've never seen Red Velvet wrestle before. I've heard y'all talk about her constantly, and I've never actually seen her in action. And I really like her, and I like Viva Van as well. I actually like both of them. And I thought that they were well matched with Juvia and La Horchita. I thought they were I thought they were well matched together too. So I was like, I loved the match. It just had a different energy than the previous match did.
Yeah.
You know, and then so but I loved it. And you know, Juvia, I hope to God you get a good tag team partner.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then the other and I always like to point this out is when the North American wrestlers go down to Mexico, it doesn't matter if they're wrestling a rudo, they automatically become the rudo because excuse me, Red Velvet in ROH is for all intents and purposes a babyface,
right?
You know, so to see her come out and see that, like, that side of her that she's taunting the audience and, like, you know, saying, yo, we're coming back for your belts, you know, it was fun. It's definitely, you know, like, fun to see that characterization. So this brought us to our first men's match, and what a match it was, where we saw for the Campeonato Mundial Histórico Medio, one fall, the new champion Flip Gordon in his first title defense against the real Azúcar, Rocky Romero. And what a match.
God, it was.
Holy shnoikies. Dare I say this should have been the main event.
I agree, actually. I would absolutely agree with you, because this was probably the best match of the evening.
Yeah.
I mean, dare I say that out loud, but it was so good.
Yeah. So, you know, they, and I know I say this all the time, but when Rocky Romero goes down and wrestles in Mexico, they let him off the leash, and they need to do that more here in North America, because he was, you know, super charismatic, playing the audience, wrestling really well. He was reversing everything that Flip Gordon was throwing at him and tossing it back. You know, like, Flip had to dig really deep into his bag of tricks to get this win, you know. And there were a lot of times that I was like, are we gonna see
a new champion?
A new champion so fast after Flip literally just last month won this thing? But the other thing too was our abuelo referee, Bestia Negra, Adolfo Bestia Negra. His counting
was a little on the slow cut.
1, 2.
Yeah. 3. It's like I was like, oh no, is he having a stroke? Right? I was like, what's happening? Oh no. Yeah. Yeah.
So what did you think about
I loved it. Oh my gosh. I thought, you know, I love Rocky Romero when he's down, when he's in I like you were saying, I love how he is like our charismatic villain. He is like with his eye patch, and, you know, I'm waiting for his next entrance to be coming and stroking a cat. I mean, it's just, he's so great as the bad guy, and he eats it up. Oh my God. And the audience is just on him. I mean, it's so wonderful when he makes his entrance, and he's all like, yeah, look at me. I'm so fly. I'm so this. And I'm just like, God, you are wonderful. I love you so much. And so, and then Flip Gordon, man, these two were so, this was like a match made in heaven right here. They were on each other, and they were like, like you were saying, Flip would do something, Rocky would just take it and throw it right back at him. It's like it's like, oh my goodness, your opponent knows your moves. What?
Right.
So, which Western, American style wrestling needs to start learning, is that you adapt to your opponent. You like, I know what you do, I know what your finisher is, quote unquote, or I know how you do your thing, so I'm gonna twist things on you, and that's what was happening, and it was so exciting to watch.
Yes,
I mean, just both of these men are super charismatic, and they know how to play the audience, which is great. Because the audience, and this is why I say I think this is probably the match of the night. This is the most active the audience was all evening.
Yeah,
truly involved.
Yep.
I mean, the audience is always involved, but they were super involved in this match. And I don't know if it was because it was a belt match, or I think it was because of these two wrestlers, because they were so I didn't know who to root for, because I was like, oh God, because they both pulled me in. They both got me. I think both of them are star wrestlers. I think they worked super well together. And if, Flip Gordon ever became a bad guy, man, these two would make a hell of a team.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in recent weeks, we've seen Rocky Romero teaming up with Volador Jr. and the,
that's true.
And his stable. So, we were kind of sort of seeing that, the other cool thing that I just want to leave this off on is this had some great slow burn buildup, because we saw that initial confrontation with Flip Gordon and Rocky Romero at the 91st anniversary special, where Flip was in the audience and Rocky Romero, they got into a fight with him, in the audience. And then slowly but steadily, we've had Rocky and Flip, their paths crossing. And, it finally came to pass last Viernes Espectacular when they had that tag team, which led us to this match. So, it was nice to see the payoff, and it's also nice to know that we're still going to see more, because I do not see this rivalry going away anywhere soon. And I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't. So.
I hope not either.
Yeah. So this leads us to our third women's match of the night: La Catalina versus Deonna Purrazzo from AEW, the Virtuosa, who is the head of the Vendetta stable, and Deonna Purrazzo wins via submission, making La Catalina tap out and giving La Catalina a bloody nose as well.
Yeah. Well, Deonna Purrazzo. See, I love Deonna Purrazzo ever since she was back, when she was a baby, and even then she was a force to be reckoned with. And so when she went to, was it AEW, right? That's where she's at now.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I was like, she's going to be a force to reckon with. And she came into this place like she owned the place, which is what I love about her, is that when she doesn't let anything throw her off. She comes in, she's like, I've already won before we've even fought. And then I was like, okay. I was like, yay. I didn't even realize that Deonna was going to be on this episode. So when she came out, I was like, oh, because I love Deonna Purrazzo. And then I saw that she was fighting La Catalina, which is funny, because I was like, ooh, that's an unusual pairing, but okay, let's see how this goes. And so I was a little surprised that they teamed her against La Catalina. But I mean, don't get me wrong, she held her own. I'll give it to her because she's good. But you're right, Deonna Purrazzo, I think, just annihilated her.
They were. So they're very much the antithesis of each other. La Catalina, she does like to go top rope. She does like to do those high risk, high reward type moves. Not afraid to fly. Deonna Purrazzo's not like that. She's a mat tactician. And especially as of late, she's been really working those submission moves. Actually, the last few matches, that armbar that she won this match with, she's been winning with, which I personally think, if you look at it, when she sinks into it, if you put it side by side to the way that Mystico does his armbar, they're very much the same. So, which I found very interesting. But yeah, I think, don't quote me on this, I don't have any fact to back me up, but I think that Deonna Purrazzo was put in here because Timeless Tony Storm had retired. Because if you remember when Timeless Tony Storm was in Arena Mexico a few
she fought La
months ago,
Catalina, didn't she?
She fought La Catalina, and she said that she was going to return for round 2 with La Catalina, but then she ended up retiring, and now this new girl, Tony Storm, is whatever. But wink. But so I think that they got Deonna Purrazzo to go in and
take her place.
I really enjoyed the match, though. It definitely was a little bit of a style change that I initially wasn't ready for. Again, just because Deonna really grounded La Catalina down and really kept her high power offense, down on the ground. So,
but I kind of one of the things I did like about it, though, is that again, Deonna Purrazzo, she understood her opponent's strengths.
Yes.
And knew how to oppose them.
Yep.
She kept her as close to that mat as she possibly could, any chance she got. Because she knows that if she gets, let's cut La Catalina up on those top ropes, she's in trouble.
Yeah.
But she kept her like grounded. And I was like, that's how you're going to win against her, is you've got to keep her on the ground. And that's what she did.
Yep. So Deonna Purrazzo comes out with the win on this one, and then this brings us to our semi-main event, if you will, where we have Volador Jr. versus the Bastard Pac from AEW fame. Another mano a mano, one pinfall. Again, very weird pacing.
Yep.
Or am I alone in this?
Nope. Yeah.
Okay.
This one was super weird too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also thought it was a weird pairing. I thought this was such a weird pairing.
Well, the opening segment they did was really cool.
Yeah.
Where they both like match each other's flips, they match each other's drop kicks, that whole thing, right? But then like I don't know if it's kayfabe or not. I tried seeing if Volador Jr. has knee problems, right, that he's working through, and I couldn't find anything about his knee problems. But like the minute he like started pulling his knee pads down and complaining about his knees and this, that, and the other, it felt like the match like kind of slowed down a little bit, because of that. They still hit some really beautiful high flying moves. Volador Jr. does end up with the win, hitting the Canadian Destroyer on Pac and getting the 1-2-3 win. But yeah, it was just the pacing was a little weird.
It was. I agree. It just felt I don't know. I just felt,
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, you know, they're both like, I liked both of these wrestlers. I liked the match. It was okay. It was a good match. It just had a weird energy to me. I didn't
Yes.
really know why. I was just trying to figure out why they chose these two specifically, you know, because I find I find that sort of the psychology of matches interesting, and I was trying to figure out the psychology behind this one, and I couldn't figure it out. So I
Yeah,
got
you
the
know,
others.
well, wrestling style, Volador Jr. and Pac have very similar wrestling styles, you know. But again, for whatever reason, there was just like,
Yeah, it
I
was
don't
weird.
know if it was because of Volador Jr.'s knees or whatever, but yeah, something was just up with the pacing on this. One thing I
Yeah,
will say, and this also goes to our next match. I'm very happy that they didn't bring any of the AEW Death Rider storyline that Pac and Claudio are
right,
involved in
right,
here. And it seemed like, you know, the Pac that we got is like the actual Pac, you know.
right,
He actually showed some emotion,
right.
which he does not do in AEW television at all, you know. And hell, we even saw him go after Kemalito, who
Yep,
came out with Volador Jr., you know.
yep.
And then it was cool that Kemalito got to do the plancha on top of Pac on the outside of the ring. That was a lot of fun.
That was great.
Yeah. But yeah, that was that. Volador Jr. gets the win. And this brings us to our main event, where we had our Grand Prix winner, Claudio Castagnoli, going up against Hechicero. And Hechicero was escorted out with Zacaria Pecorito. Yet another mano a mano, one fall. And I mean, it was a good match.
It was all
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Again, I would have much rathered Flip and Rocky
Yeah,
Romero be the
yeah.
main event. Because just energy wise,
You know,
but
they just weren't as exciting. You know,
yeah,
not that they were bad matches, but they just weren't like like there was nothing about them that just got me going. I was like, you know, after the Flip and Rocky match, I was like energized. I was like, yeah,
yes,
let's do it. And then the next match
yeah,
happened, and it was like, oh, okay. And then it was kind of, oh, okay. Okay,
yeah,
well, we're getting to the main event now. All right, the main event's gonna be amazing. And it was like, uh, okay,
yeah.
you know, because I love Hechicero. I think he's a great. I think
His
Claudio is
entrance was
pretty
really cool.
badass too. And I didn't feel like that was. I don't. It felt held back. I just felt like this one and the
Yeah,
semi-main event where they felt held back, and I don't know if that was. Again, I don't know why that is, and that's my trying to figure out the psychology of it, like
yeah.
why. I mean, because I thought these two men were well matched. I thought, you
Mhm.
know, I don't know. It was odd.
Well,
Again,
you
not a
know,
bad match, just odd.
right. And Claudio is a great wrestler. I enjoy
Mhm.
Claudio. I enjoy watching Claudio work. But he's not an energy bringer, you
No.
know. Um, he's and you're right. It kind of like it felt like, you know, it went like the energy level went like this, and then after Flip
Mhm.
and
Just
Rocky,
sort of
it didn't go
no, it
down.
didn't
It
go
just kind of
down,
like
just flattened. It
flattened like
plateaued.
that. And you're right. You know, Hechicero, for whatever reason, stayed very grounded. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, he did hit a few of his 450s and whatnot, but like not compared to other Viernes
Yeah.
Espectaculares, where, you know, we've seen him.
Yeah, I mean, Hechicero is so brutal in his style.
Yes.
You know, he is like out to like rip you apart, and I didn't feel that he was doing that here.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Yep.
I don't know if it's because again, I don't know the psychology behind it, whether it's, you know, oh well, you're not, you're not one of my normal wrestling folks, so I don't want to take it all out on you. It's like, or what? I don't know what it was. So, but I felt like Hechicero was completely held back. Because normally when he's in the ring, he starts the fight before the fight's begun, and he's usually the one that's like just tearing people up. And I felt that, honestly, I kind of felt like he was getting his ass handed to him.
Yeah,
at times, and I was just like, "What is going?" And that's so during the whole match, my brain was just like, "What's happening right now?"
Yeah.
Who is this person?
Yeah. No, I definitely I agree with that. It seemed like Hechicero was held back, and he seemed like he got beat up. He did end up losing. Claudio Castagnoli did end up pinning Hechicero. Again though, we didn't see Death Rider Claudio Castagnoli. We saw Claudio Castagnoli because first of all, his intro music is his original intro music. And at the end of the match, he did try to shake Hechicero's hand, to which Hechicero, was like, "No, I'm not going to shake your hand." Which AEW, current AEW Claudio Castagnoli doesn't do that anymore. So, but this and this was the main event for our Viernes Espectacular. Overall, what'd you think?
Overall, I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, I always do. It's like, I don't think I have yet to encounter one that I haven't enjoyed. I mean, I think the energy levels was weird, and I think that maybe they should have put Flip and Rocky at the end in the main event.
Yeah,
because like I said, these last two matches just sort of plateaued. And I think if they had put those beforehand, maybe made this one the semi-main event.
Yep, it would have.
And I think then it would have because Flip and Rocky were they were out of this world.
They were.
So, but overall, I enjoyed it. It was good.
Yeah. I might get some hate for saying this, but this episode of Viernes Espectacular to me was like a really good episode of AEW Collision.
Oh, that's fair.
So,
fair.
So yeah, I enjoyed it. But I'm definitely looking forward to getting back to regular. Dare I say, CMLL wrestling. So, but and if you like what we're doing, really quick, this is the mid-show plug. Bi-Conics, find us on the interwebs. We are all over on the interwebs. We are on the Instagrams, the Threads, the YouTube, the Twitch. You can find us at BC WrestlePod. We have merch, bcwrestlepod.creatorspring.com, and you can also find us on Patreon at BC WrestlePod. All sorts of cool things and whatnot. So definitely check that out. So this brings us to our 2024 year in review. Now, to be fair, we can't really do a year in review. We only really started watching CMLL really heavy, like in May, June, so we are still new to the CMLL. We're still learning all the luchadors, we're still learning all the shows and whatnot. So what in lieu of that, what we are going to do is we are going to have the Mi Corazón 2024. So basically what we're going to do is a little match Relampago style here. And we're going to go through some wrestlers that caught our hearts this year. So we are going to start off with you, Papa Oso, and your picks. So your first pick for Mi Corazón 2024 was Templario. So go ahead, tell us why how did Templario steal your heart this year?
Well, other than he's the hunka burning love,
yes.
But no, I freaking love him. I love his intro. I love his entrance. I think he is who he is from beginning to end. Like, you know, a lot of wrestlers sometimes when they get into the wrestling aspect of the show, they tend to just drop their persona and just be wrestle. He doesn't. He maintains, and he's just a powerhouse. And, you know, with all my research, because, you know, I stalked him after I fell in love with him. And he's like a genuinely great human being. It's like, so, I mean, he's just fantastic. And I just love, like I said, anytime he's on, I'm so hooked on him, on his style, on how he wrestles, who he wrestles. You know, I'm always like, ooh, let me Google search while I'm watching, just so I can figure out this, that, and the other, because I just think he's fantastic. Now, I will say, it was really hard picking just like two men and two women as well. I mean, it was really hard. So, but everyone, it is no secret to the world that has watched this that I am in love with this man and want to have his children. But I think he's just an absolutely top-notch, at the top of the rung, brilliant wrestler. I just think he's, and again, an all-around amazing human being.
Yep, definitely. Templario Guerrero. Yep, he is a good one. So then the next luchador that stole your corazón in 2024 also stole Mikey's El Jefe's corazón, and that is Hechicero. So, and I will also let you speak on behalf of Mikey, if you will, El Jefe, because he's not here. But tell us, how did Hechicero steal your heart this year?
For me, I like his brutality. I love the absolutely primal viciousness of him. Excuse me. He's in my, that's why I was like, when I was picking my men, I had to pick my ultimate good guy and his antithesis. So I think Hechicero is the exact opposite of what Templario is in representation. And because, like I said when we were talking about in the review, Hechicero is that one that starts the fight before the fight begins. Yeah, he just jumps and he goes, and he's vicious, and he just ravages anyone and everyone that he needs to get what he wants. And I think to me, that's what makes a good rudo in this case, is that idea of like, I am the bad guy, and I'm going to do what I need to do to get what I want, you know, with don't care who it hurts. And I think out of all of them, he is my favorite, you know, because I mean, I know they switch back and forth, but he to me is like, when I think of a rudo, this is who I think of.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, absolutely, because I was like, I need a Technico and I need a rudo, and I was like, oh, Templario, only because because he's amazing and I'm in love with him. But then a rudo, I was like, Hechicero. I mean, it was immediate. It was like immediate. And I think Mikey would probably agree with me on that. I don't want to say he will, but I'm pretty sure he does, because I just love him. And I mean, when he fought, one of my favorite moments of all time is when he fought that whole Euphoria thing, when that whole Euphoria fight. When Euphoria had to remove his mask. Yep. And I mean, even though he was the bad, the winner of it, I guess he wasn't necessarily the bad guy, but he won it. He was so sympathetic to Euphoria, even though he was like, oh, I'm going to take your mask, but I get it. So that really kind of won me over for him, because I was like, oh, okay. See, that's the persona versus the wrestler. And I love that. I just love that, he plays this sort of just super bad guy, but as a human being, he's just like this big cuddly bear of a man. Just like truly cares, because I mean, I'm not, if this was a year in review, that would be my match, because it moved me to tears.
Yes.
It literally moved me to tears. And a lot of it had to do with the way like Hechicero interacted with Euphoria during that whole thing. Because he could have been a complete and utter jerk. and been like, yeah, take it off. Here, let me help you rip it off. You know, I mean, he could have been that guy, but he wasn't. He's like, okay, let me drop the persona and let me be the wrestler for a moment, understanding the weight of what's about to happen. And that was just so beautiful to me. And it literally sealed it for me. And I was like, Hechicero, you're my man. You're my bad guy. You're my Rudo for life.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely a good one. Now we are going to move to the Amazonas. And you and I did share this pick, and that's Zeuxis, Puerto Rican Power. So, Papa, also, how did Zeuxis steal your corazon this year?
Well, just because, and this is one of those, it was because it was the match between her and Persephone. There was that was a while back. It was the very first time I ever saw the two of them fight each other. And it's just like, she is so powerful. She has a presence. I think she's very much like Persephone in that respect. I think Persephone is a little bit better about it, or stronger with it, rather. Not better, because that's the wrong word, but she's stronger at it. But Zeuxis is just like, when she walks in the ring, she owns the place.
Yeah.
And again, she's a stout woman, but she is not afraid to fly. She's not afraid to get up on that top rope and chunk herself across the ring. I love when she'll do the bouncing off and jumping through the ropes, or actually she goes over the ropes. And she's just this she's amazing to watch. I just absolutely love watching her. And again, it was hard picking two women, because I literally had to put all of the women in a list and go, oh God, who do I choose? You know, because it's so difficult. And because I could have picked any of them, but Zeuxis is ever since I first saw her, I have really enjoyed watching her every time she wrestles.
Yep.
That's why I was kind of hoping that she would have wrestled Persephone in this match in this last episode, like they've been the last two. But
right. Yes. Yep. Yeah. Zeuxis, she's Boricua, Puerto Rican Power. But she caught my eye early when we were watching, and she was Stephanie Vacker's tag team partner, because they held the belts. And the cool thing is that she stood out from Stephanie, and then after Stephanie left, she started her really hitting the singles scene. And then she had her championship match against Willow, and won the belt and still has the belt. And she steps into that ring and she is dominant. She's a force. So Zeuxis all the way, got my corazon in 2024. We do have another Amazona, but we will get to the Amazona. And then finally, your micro estrella of that stole your corazon was El Gallito. So tell us, how did
El Gallito. I love all of them, and again, this was another hard one to choose from, because I was like, because I like Mihei. I love all of them, but I have to say I love El Gallito because he's just super charismatic. And I think, they all are, but he's just the one that I love every time he comes out. He's my favorite. I love, because, when they bring out the micro estrellas, I watch them on the sidelines, on the outer side of the ring. And I just watch what they do and their sort of interaction. And El Gallito always makes me giggle every time. Every time he just makes me giggle. So I picked him.
All right. So now come my picks for the luchadors that stole mi corazón in 2024. So I'm gonna start off with Místico. He El Rey de Plata y Oro. He is the face of CMLL, and I have bought in whole hog to that. And if you want to hear more, me talk about him more, please check out the Bi-Conics year-end review, because I go off. But every match he's in, he gives his all. I have yet to see him show up in a match and just call it in, you know. And I have seen this man go, you know, on Friday he's down Arena Mexico. Saturday he's up in Chicago, and then on Sunday he's back down in Mexico. Next, you know, on Thursday he's in wherever AEW is, like in Buffalo, doing whatever. And he always gives his all. And he also just seems like he really does care about the fans, you know. Every time, even like in Guadalajara, every time I see him you know, coming in or going out, he's always like shaking hands with the fans, stopping to take pictures, picking up the little kids, you know, that have his masks, you know, or that are wearing his mask in the audience. So El Rey de Plata y Oro, he's the first luchador that stole mi corazón in 2024, followed by Euphoria. I thoroughly enjoyed Euphoria the first time I saw him, and this was when he had his mask. This picture is, of course, when he did lose his mask to Hechicero at the 91st anniversary show, which again, if you want to hear my thesis onto why you should stop what you're doing and go find this match and watch it right now, do it. But Euphoria, he was a beast. He's a beast, and he's a rudo, and he is not afraid to be a rudo, even to other rudos. You know what I mean? And even after taking his mask off, he hasn't stopped. He is still just a force, and he just destroys people. And I just, you know, his swagger, and just that sheer brutality. I know that you use that word for Hechicero, but whereas Hechicero will dismantle his opponents, Euphoria just decimates his opponents. So you know, he stole my heart in 2024. My woman, like I said, Zuxis was my second one. We'll get to my my other woman pick in Amazona in a moment. But my micro estrella was Tengu. Reason being is every match I've seen him in, he is one of the micro estrellas that is not afraid to go to that top turnbuckle and to do a 450 or to fly off in you know, outside of the ring. You know, he's fearless. You know, and I really enjoyed that. And the matches that I've seen him wrestle, he's got a very good ring sense, you know. So my pick is Tengu. So and now for El Jefe and his picks for the luchadores that stole his corazón in 2024. Flip Gordon. You know, Flip Gordon, I'll just say a few words. Very dynamic, very energetic, and always captivates the crowd. Papa Oso, you got some words?
No, I agree. I mean, I like Flip. Again, he was on my list. You know, it's like, I mean, I think he's super charismatic. I mean, the audience loves him. I mean, he knows because he knows how to use an audience. He knows how to use them well. That's why he and Rocky Romero are so good together. I think they both know how to use their audience to their advantage. So yeah, I think he's great.
Yep. And then Mikey's second male luchador was Hechicero, who we talked about. Then for the Amazonas, Mikey has Reina Isis, who we spoke about earlier. Reina Isis, she is, one thing I have to mention is she is beautiful and she just exudes that. Not to get us demonetized or shut off or whatever, but she exudes that sensuality.
I agree.
Even when she's in the ring, but she then just she beats people.
Yeah.
So, and there have been some Guadalajara shows I've seen with her wrestling where she is not afraid to fly outside of the ring, and if you've seen the Guadalajara show, the seats seem to be a lot closer than in Arena Mexico, and B, there's not that much padding on that floor. Most of it actually looks to be just like wood, but she's not afraid to fly into it. She's so great, so much fun to watch when she's in the ring. So Reina Isis stole El Jefe's corazón in 2024, and we're gonna get to his second Amazon pick in a moment. But his microestrella pick is Que Monito for 2024. So Que Monito, he is the individual on the left-hand side of your screen in the blue. Que Monito, he for years was the face of CMLL. There were some stuff that he kind of disappeared for about 3 years or so. However, he came back this year. He came back big, and every time he steps out, the crowd loves him. Constantly at odds with his brother Kemalito, and we love it. You know what I mean? So, Que Monito is El Jefe's micro estrella pick for 2024, which brings us to the luchador that stole all of our hearts in 2024, and I have dubbed her the Reina de Nuestros Corazones. She is the queen of our hearts 2024, and that is Persephone.
I love it.
Yeah, she's got her crown. Congratulations, Persephone, our queen. Papa, also give us some words on Persephone and why she's just.
Well, Persephone to me is like I think if you had a face for the Amazonas, I think this is her. This is the face. I really do, because when I think of the Amazonas, Persephone is the very first person I think of. She is super charismatic. She owns the place when she walks. I mean, from her walk-in, even before then, when they just throw her up on the screens, she's got it. She owns the place, and then she makes her entrance. It's like, I'm here. What do you got for me? And when she walks up to that ring, she steps in, she owns it. Even if she doesn't win a match, she still owns that place. That's what's so powerful about her. And the very, very first time I ever watched her wrestle, she took me. I was like, oh, yep, I'm with you. I'm literally, I think Mikey will attest that the very first time I saw her wrestle, I was like, oh, I'm a Persephone. I'm like a fanatic now. And so every time she wrestles, I'm like, Persephone's going to win. Whether she wins or not is irrelevant.
Right. She's going to win. She still won in our hearts anyway.
Yep. She won. I don't care if she doesn't win, whatever, she wins. So I just think she's such a powerhouse. God. And she's not a big woman. She's not a big woman at all. She is like average size, I guess. I don't know what you would call it, but man, she just exudes this like intimidation almost. I feel I'm intimidated by her. I mean, just the way she looks at you, the way she stands, the way she walks, the way she speaks, it just demands respect. I mean, it's like everyone's down and like kissing her toes. I mean, I just think she's just blows me away every single time. Every single time.
Yep. So. Yeah. Her in-ring work is fantastic. She is a ruda, and she is not afraid to go into that bag of ruda tricks. As a matter of fact, I believe the last match that Tessa Blanchard had in CMLL was against Persephone, and Persephone, the way she won was she got Tessa Blanchard into a small package and then grabbed the rope when La Vacarita, the ref, wasn't looking, and got the 1-2-3 pin. But she doesn't like outright just cheat. She like works it into her repertoire, and like it's like it she uses it at the end after like she has tried to like out technique and just out brutalize whoever she's wrestling. And she just the charisma she exudes when she walks out is just caught my heart this year, caught your heart, caught El Jefe's heart. So la reina de nuestros corazones de 2024 este año es Persephone. Persephone has stolen the hearts of Los Lobos de Lucha from the Bi-Conics podcast. Congratulations, Persephone. And that's it. That's our show for this week. We're going to be off, I believe, for the next 2 weeks. Even though there is a lot of CMLL stuff going on, they're going to have shows, I believe, on Christmas Day and on New Year's Day, which is really cool. I know I'm going to be watching.
I'll be watching.
I'm excited for 2025. I'm excited. I'm super excited to watch more, and not just Viernes Espectacular, but I'm excited to watch the Tuesdays de Glamour, Martes de Glamour from Guadalajara. I'm excited to watch the Saturday shows, Sunday shows. Yeah, I'm like so pumped and psyched for CMLL in 2025. You got any final words there, Papa? Also,
no. If you don't watch any of it doesn't have to be necessarily CMLL, but any of the Lucha Libre, any of them, if you don't watch them, you should. You're missing out.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, I love it more than American style wrestling.
Yep,
truly, I truly do.
Yep. So, like I said, we're going to be off for the next 2 weeks. So feel free to catch up on a lot of our other shows that we have. It'll be a nice primer for you to catch up on some CMLL wrestling or any of the other wrestling shows. And if have a happy and safe holidays to all of you. And we are excited to see you back here in 2025. So from Papa Oso, from El Jefe, and from me, just remember that we're Bi-Conic, you're Bi-Conic, we are all Bi-Conic, and you always have a chance and should get to finish your story. Happy holidays, everybody.